as people rather than teachers and principals, and to have families meet with one another. So thank you all for coming out on kind of a cold night. You know, in light of all that snow, I'm sure you're glad to get out of the house. To all the staff that's here, thank you so much for coming, and to all the children. And especially thank you to your parents and your grandparents if you brought them. Thank you all for coming on this lovely evening. And I'm going to turn this over to Wendy and Heidi. Wendy and Wendy. Wendy and Wendy.
Hi everybody. All the children are going to follow Miss Holtzum in the back there into the gym, and we ask the adults to clear the tables and move up to the tables in this row and this row. So let's get everything off the tables and get the children out. My name is Wendy Garflip from United Neighbors.
My name's Wendy Vitello from Child and Family Services.
So we made it really easy. You only have to remember Wendy. Okay? So you should be sitting at one of the tables where there's white paper. If you don't have a seat, please join in one of the tables. You can grab a chair, and we're going to put a facilitator at each table. So facilitators, please listen to Wendy. She's going to assign you a table.
Kerry, you can sit right here. Heidi, do you mind sitting over here? Lauren, you can come on up over here. Jamie, if you don't mind going over there. Dina, you can go over there. No, I don't think so. Yep, and Nancy's going to go over here to the blue table.
Okay.
Right? And
as you saw, the microphone isn't great, so we're going to try and do this without a microphone. We have pretty big voices, okay?
Pretty much.
So, welcome to the Parent Cafe. We're so happy that you're here. And if you notice in front of you, we put white paper on all the tables, and we put down markers, and we put down toys. And we did that deliberately. Do you remember going to school and your teacher to saying to you, stop doodling on your notebook, stop writing on this? Well, we want you to doodle. We want you to doodle, we want you to keep your hands busy. We've discovered that people that play with things, like me and my rubber band all the time, are much more willing to speak. Now, Wendy and I, this is probably our 15th cafe that we've done through school systems, and we can fill the time talking, absolutely. But it is much more interesting if you participate, okay? So, why do we do parent cafes? The whole idea of bringing parents together to do a parent cafe is to talk a little bit about what we know about child raising and learning from other parents in the room some good ideas and some good technique to be able to deal with your kids. Can we shut this microphone off? Yeah. Great, thank you. So I always start off by telling you about my experience when I had my child. My child now is 32 years old, so this was a while ago. But when I first got my very first job, when I was in high school, I got a job at Burger King. And in those days, Burger King sold hamburgers, French fries, thick shakes, and soda. That was it. And in order for me, oh, so much better. That's great. In order for me to be able to work at Burger King, they sent me for 40 hours, 5 days, 9 to 5, to Whopper College. I went to a 5-day training at Whopper College, and on Friday afternoon, the Burger King himself showed up and presented me with a diploma and said, now you are qualified to make a hamburger, to throw down fries in the fryer-later, and to pull a Coke. 40 hours of training to work at Burger King. When I had my son, I gave birth at 10 minutes before midnight. And I went home the next day at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And I didn't have a piece of paper. I didn't have a handbook. They said, bye. I had more training in how to make a hamburger than I did in how to take care of my infant. So that's a little shocking, okay? So one of the things that we talk about is what's the framework that we use to decide on how to be a good parent. And we have a list of 5 protective factors. They're in the room in 2 different places, but since it's so far away, Wendy and I will read through them. These are 5 statements that child care people think are really important to have strong families, but I have to stop because I did miss a step. So Wendy's going to jump in and then we'll come back to the protective factors.
So I'm just going to set some ground rules for this evening. So we're here to talk about what it's like being a parent. And when we talk about what it's like being a parent, we may have some emotional feelings. And I just ask that everybody be respectful of everybody. We are a large crowd. Wendy and I are going to be competing with the acoustics in the room, and we're also going to be competing with you all. So if you all just can really be aware of your voices and how loud it can get, just because we are a very large crowd tonight. The other thing is we're here in a school, we're a counseling service, and we're always trying to protect children. And everybody just always needs to be aware when you're working with children that we are mandated reporters. And if there was ever any concern about a child's safety, we would have to take some type of action, just like any one of you would sitting here in this room. We're all here trying to protect children and to work with children, be parents, and to enjoy that as well.
Thank you. Okay, so onward to the protective factors. So here's our list of 5 things that child care experts agree that families need to really have a strong family. And the first one is be strong and flexible. And if you are a parent, you know you have to be flexible. Okay, next one.
So parents need friends. We need to have social connections. We need to have interests, hobbies, people that we can talk with, people we can spend time with, people we can rely on. We need to have connections outside of just our children, right? Do you ever feel like you need to talk to another adult for a moment, right? And not just speak in kid language. It's really important for a lot of different reasons.
How many people felt that after 3 days of being in the house after the snow, right? Didn't you just want some adult conversation? Okay, our next protective factor. We all need help sometimes. This image that TV has given us of the super mom who, after cleaning the house and doing her job and dropping the kids off, meets her husband at the door wearing a dress and pearls and high heels, that's garbage. And we know that's garbage, okay?
It's never happened at my house.
It's never happened at my house, right? So sometimes we need help and we need to reach out to someone to help us.
So being a great parent is part natural and part learned. Right, so Wendy tells the story about getting her child and then having to go home. But all of you can also relate to the fact that part of those things you realized you can do. Like all of a sudden you knew how to hold a baby, even though you'd never held one before maybe, right? You practiced a few times with your friend's kid. So part of that comes, there's some intuitiveness that we have, that when we have the baby, we can do certain things. But there are other parts that we're just not prepared for, that we just don't know. We're not sure what to do. We need to rely on other people. We need to read a book. We need to, talk to our parents or somebody else. We don't know everything. You have to learn some parts, and some parts are natural.
And the last protective factor is parents need to help their children communicate. We need to understand what kids can really do and when they can really do it. Very often when we have a parent cafe like this, a parent will raise their hand and say, I told my kid to empty the dryer, fold all the clothes, put it in the laundry basket, bring it upstairs and put it in everybody's drawer. And I'll say, and how old's your child? And the parent will say, 4. So we know that that is not a skill set that a 4-year-old has. But we have to understand what our kids can do and at what age they can do. So the formula of the way this cafe is going to work is we're going to start off with an exercise. It's called an attentive listening exercise, and I'll explain how that will work in a minute. And we're going to be mixing you up 3 times. When we ask you to change tables, the goal is to sit with people that you haven't sat with before. So if you came with somebody, the first time you change tables, we're asking you to separate from that person. We promise you will find your companion when the night is over. So we're going to do an attentive listening exercise, and then we're going to do some 3 questions where you're going to have a chance to talk at your tables. When you are talking at your tables, we encourage you to write on the tablecloth in case you can't get the words out, to play with the toys, and contribute as much as you can. So we're going to start out is we're going to hand out picture cards. And you're going to find the person in the room that has the same picture card that you have, okay? So once you get it, you can start holding it up and saying, I have the ant. Oh, they're both facilitated? Okay, here we go. So, the first exercise is called attentive listening. You are going to decide in your pair who is going to speak first and who is going to listen first. We're going to give you 2 to 3 minutes. We'll give you a low ball question, a pretty easy question. When I am the speaker, I will speak to Wendy and I'll answer the question, but Wendy may not respond. She has to show me through her body language and through her face that she's paying attention. When the 2 minutes are up, we will switch, and Wendy will become the speaker, and I will become the attentive listener. We want you to think about what's going on while this is happening. It's not the question so much as the process of what we're going to go through. So is everybody clear? Right now, introduce yourself to your pair and decide who's speaking first.
Hi.
So give them your name, tell them how old your kids are. Okay, here you go. You should have decided who the first speaker is. Here's your question. Tell your partner something fabulous about being a parent. Tell your partner something fabulous about being a parent. 2 minutes on the clock, go. Okay, here we go. Change speakers. The listener now becomes the speaker becomes the listener. Tell your partner something fabulous about being a parent. Go ahead, 2 minutes on the clock.
Fabulous is watching them grow and learn. They both play sports, they play football.
And they eat.
It's also about discovering who they are.
Okay, close down your conversation, please. Shh. So, how'd you feel about that? Now, as I said before, Wendy and I will fill the time, but it's much more interesting if you guys speak. So how did you feel listening or speaking? Anybody want to talk about what that was like in participating in that?
It felt weird.
Why did it feel weird? Good. Why did it feel weird? Tell us why it was weird.
I don't know. I usually don't talk about my kids. Like it's usually like a personal thing with me and my wife and my kids. And
Okay, so you don't normally talk to other
strangers.
people about your kids.
Strangers.
That's interesting. Not the answer I was looking for, but a good answer in itself. And that's one of the reasons why we have cafes. Because maybe we don't talk about our kids to other people. Excellent. Somebody over here.
It is weird talking to other people about your kids, but I also love talking about my kids and their situation. And I have them because I love them and I want them.
Okay, so you proved I'm talking about your kids.
I don't mind.
Okay, but I'm asking the question and that's great. But the question I'm really asking is, what was it like speaking with the other person not responding or listening with the other person speaking?
It's something I'm not really used to. I'm used to people cutting in all the time.
Okay, so how did that feel when someone gave you their undivided attention?
It felt kind of good, but also it felt like I ran out of time, ran out of things to say.
Okay, good. Awkward. Why was it awkward? I'm going to pull it out of you. What made it awkward?
I don't have enough to say in 2 minutes. I usually never shut up.
Okay. Anybody else want to weigh in on this? How it felt? Yep.
I do have to say, I think our partnership did a really good job of the non-speaking while, she was even going, it was hard to not jump in and really be cognizant of just the listening.
So our experience has shown that about 50% of the pairs cheat, that they can't do this. That you cannot speak. Yep. You did? Okay, right. So let's think a little bit. When I did this exercise for the first time, I learned something so important about myself. What I learned is that when somebody is speaking to me, most of the time before I went through this exercise, my mind is already, part of it is busy thinking of how I'm going to respond. My mind is already thinking of the story that I want to add to the conversation, the thing that I want to bring up. So my attention is not 100% on the person I'm speaking with because I'm already someplace else. So think about this in your mind. You're on the phone with your mother-in-law, you're cooking dinner, the dog is barking, your baby is crawling on the floor, and your 7-year-old comes and says, "Ma, I have something really important I want to talk to you about." And you say, "Of course, darling." How much attention are we really giving? How much of our mind is multitasking with all the millions of things we have to do? And how much richer would it be if we could give our child that full-face 2 minutes where you ran out of stuff to say, but you got it all out. So just something to think about as we move forward. Okay, at the tables where you are, we're going to move on to question number 1.
Yes. We're going to do one question this evening, and I'd like to start with this question here. I'd like to do, when your child is a grown-up, what type of person do you want him or her to be? What do you need to do to assist them getting there? So think about what you're looking for in your child and what your role is in getting them to that part. So what we'll do now is hand it over to the facilitators. You just start talking. They're going to keep track of what you're saying and write it down for you, okay?
Okay, and we're not looking for you to say, I want my child to be a doctor.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Okay, we're looking, what kind of person do you want your child to be? So facilitators, introduce yourselves, get everybody introduced, and begin the discussion.
What up, Carrie?
All right, you for this table too?
Yes. So, all right. So the question is, when your child grows up, basically, what kind of person do you want your child to be?
A responsible one. Respectful.
There's no wrong answer. Everything that you talk about, we're going to write down, and we're not going to judge those answers. We're not going to say, that's not worth writing down. We're going to write it down because it allows like the ideas to flow. And at the end of this exercise, when they go to like the next question, before they do that, we're going to read as a table. We're going to read off the things that we've come up with as a group. So it'll be pretty cool. So, all right. Well, I'll read it again. So, when your child is grown up, perhaps for some of you that you're way down the line, some of you maybe they're already in this, older ages, but what kind of person do you want him or her to be? What do you need to do to assist them with getting there?
Be strong, but not strong with muscle, but just strong body.
Strong person, strong will.
Strong will.
I want them to be successful in life, both spiritually and in material world.
Excellent. Successful spiritually and in the material world. Yes.
Respectful of other people.
Respectful of others. Definitely.
I would just say happy in whatever it is they're doing.
Just a happy.
Whatever they choose to do, whatever job that entails, just when you go to work, something you love to do, something you're happy doing, just they're happy in general.
Feel that happiness?
Yes, just content with it. Just happy, yeah.
That's awesome. Content, happy.
See what Jamie's table came up.
A valued member of their community, someone who has a developed faith and is faithful, humble,
Talk this way, talk to the crowd.
positive, kind, healthy, respectful to self and others, confident, hardworking, wise, grateful, outgoing, and a good parent.
Brian,
Confident, pride, integrity, and independence.
excellent.
Go to Silvia School.
All right, we have respectful, creative, loyal, honest, kind, hardworking, dependable, helpful, truthful, prideful, strong-minded, independent, self-sufficient, loving, self-respect, self-esteem, caring, confident, be their own person, critical thinkers, responsible, and productive.
Excellent. Nancy, what do we get over here?
We want our children to set themselves up to be good examples. We want them to have goals. We want them to be successful. We want them to be caring, loyal, and respectful. We want them to be happy, to have a great career. We want them to stay on the right path, and we want them to be a good provider.
Excellent. Carrie.
We want our children to be responsible, respectful, go-getters, motivated, happy, confident, hard workers, educated, good parents, caring, smart, honest, open-minded, kind, self-reliant, social, independent, healthy, and goal-oriented.
Excellent. Lauren? Excellent. Wendy?
Parents who jumped right in, so hand it over to Liz.
We want them to be kind, respectful, passionate, hardworking, productive citizens, honest, a multitasker, loving, kind-hearted, God-feared. And for us as parents, we need to model good characteristics, keep children active, discipline them, love them, be a good listener, don't judge, allow them to make mistakes, be strong and flexible, educate, talk, and reward.
Excellent. So everybody said really positive things that you want for your kids. Okay? So how do we get there? Can somebody tell me one step that we can all take to make sure that our kids are confident, to make sure that our kids get good jobs, to make sure that our kids are respectful? You had your hand up right away. Go ahead.
Wow.
Usually I say think time for 5 seconds, but we'll let you.
Love them.
Love them. You had your hand up too.
Encourage them.
Encourage them. Lead by example. Okay, what else? How do you get to this place? Spend a lot of time with them. Lots of patience. Communication. How else do we get there? Discipline. How else? Yep, hand in the back.
Send them to summer school.
You got it. That's the answer I'm waiting. Because we will not have kids that can hold down jobs if they don't know how to show up for school. We will not have kids that are respectful to people if we don't put them in an environment where they are respected and they respect others. We will not have kids that relate to a good community if we don't help build that community. We are blown away by the amount of people that showed up tonight. This is the largest parent cafe that we have ever done. So, congratulations. Write about. Then you're going to put it in the envelope, address it to yourself, and and seal it, and I will collect them. And in about 30 days from now, we will mail them to you. So when you get an envelope in the mail with your handwriting, don't freak out and say, oh my God, what is this? Okay, and what we're going to ask you to write about is think a minute about some of the things we discussed here tonight. Think a minute about the protective factors and see if you can come up with 1 or 2 things that you would like to try, or do, or change, or get better at. You're the only person that's going to see this letter. Okay? Is everybody clear on that? And as Wendy said before, both of us represent helping agencies. If you need help, we are the people to call. We don't want you making a cold call and hearing, for the staff directory, press pound. You call Wendy, and we will help you navigate through the resources that you need. Nancy, stand up for a second. Nancy Oliveira knows how to find us. So you go to Nancy, and she will connect you to us, and we will help you navigate.
Also, Christina Michelle, the other school adjustment
counselor,
yes, very much knows how to find us.
How to find us as well. Okay, we asked a couple of things. Do not let the children take the toys home. I know you want them all to take Sleepy's home, but we need them for additional parent cafes. And please leave your picture cards so our staff can come around and pick them up. So begin writing your letters, and we can let the people in the gym know that it's time to bring the kids in. Okay?
So the writings are basically just writing to ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah, like what can I do better as a parent?